Welcome to another episode of Under the Hood, an interview series designed to shine a light on how agencies think and how they deliver value to their clients. My name is Mark Sneider. I'm founder and CEO of RSW US. We're an outsourced new business firm that primarily serves marketing service agencies and other professional service firms. Today, we're here with Jon Newman, the co-founder of Hodges. Hodges is a full-service PR agency based in Richmond, Virginia. Using an earned, owned, and paid media approach, they provide strategic communications, content marketing, and creative services, shaping the PR strategy their clients need. Jon, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.
That's great. That's great. Yep, was really looking forward to it. So I've got a handful of questions for you, and I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. First one I've got is wondering if you could tell me a little bit about your agency, who you are, what you do, what's your superpower in terms of what's the primary value that you bring to your clients.
You know, it's interesting. We've been in business now for 23 years, and we were challenged to physically move our agency. And it was a process that started more than a year ago. In addition to moving the agency, we're still using the same logo that we used for 23 years. So we took the time to not only move, but rebrand. And as part of that process, we actually did an audit on ourselves with the question being, are we still a PR firm? Because you mentioned our earned, owned, and paid approach.
Right.
And, you know, if you look at it, that earned piece is what people think of traditionally as what PR firms do. Media relations, community relations, internal comms, all those things. But, you know, over the last, 10 years ago, we've added that own piece, social media, a lot of writing, email newsletters, anything that, a client owns, we do that as well. And then we have gotten into that paid piece because social and digital has sort of, forced us into that space. So we actually asked our clients, we did that internal audit, and we asked them, what they thought of us. And what came back to us was, well, you do PR, but you do PR differently.
Okay.
And we asked them, what do you mean by that? And, a lot of it is, they said, well, you really help us sort of zero base everything and don't come at it with a point of view. You come at it looking for marketing solutions for us. So that's sort of the first thing. Because of that, and because we're probably brutally honest to a fault, we create long-term client relationships. A lot of our clients have been with us for 5-10 years or longer because of that. Right. And then because of that EOP approach, we really look at not only raising awareness, which is what a lot of people think of when they think of PR firms, but also what we can do in that earned, owned, and media space to drive action so that people see your message in the right place at the right time. Right. So those are the things that really, plus the fact that a lot of our people stay with us. We have on our staff people that have been with us for more than 10 years. That's so great. Folks aren't getting that sort of team A on day one and team Z on day two, if you know what I mean.
You mean that happens?
Yeah, exactly. We've never seen that before.
No, that's all great. And has the changes that you've made over the years sort of consistent with where PR as a sort of a discipline has sort of evolved over the last 5-7 years?
Yeah, I mean, the big change obviously is the advent of social media. Okay, so right. We made a decision very early in the game, both professionally as an agency and also personally, a lot of us internally, to dive in with both feeds. So we actually test a lot of things out on ourselves before we roll it out to clients. So when Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, name the platform, Snapchat, Reddit, all those things, sort of emerged, we had to decide which ones we were going to go all in on. And a lot of that was trial and error on ourselves first before we rolled it out to clients.
Okay.
And now that's a core discipline under that owned umbrella. That owned umbrella didn't exist 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
So we had to pivot there. And then the other piece was, because of that, we added an in-house creative group.
Okay.
That for a long time, I sort of said, we don't need that. I sort of went in originally kicking and screaming and had a couple of people internally said, no, we really need it. Yeah. And now we've grown that into a 4-person internal creative group. Okay, so nice. We can handle a lot of the creative needs, especially those PR creative needs. So whether it's social media graphics, whether it's reports, whether it's collateral, whether it's email newsletter design, we do all that in-house now. So that became a new revenue stream for us. In the past, we would outsource a lot of that, and we still do to a certain extent, but we've kept that in-house, and we have metrics that we, gauge the success against.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Makes sense. I'm just curious, do you think like those firms that started as traditional PR that have stayed traditional PR, is there a home for them, or do you think that
I think there probably still is, although what we say internally is that we did not evolve and still did PR the way we did it, 15, 20 years ago. Right. I don't know if we would exist today.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. AI is all the rage. I'm curious, if you're using AI, how are you using it, and how are you using it to the benefit of your clients?
So I think there are a lot of parallels. AI, looking back at what we did and how we adopted social media 10 years ago. So we, at the beginning of that phase, sort of experimented a lot, dipped our toes in, then went ankle deep, then went sort of up to our necks pretty quickly. And I think we're about at that point with AI. We are using it primarily as a brainstorming shortcut.
Okay.
So what we find a lot of value in is, for business development, there are platforms that you can dump in a lot of information and it creates briefing books in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As we are planning for ourselves, we're about to do a strategic plan for us. How do you, by putting in the right prompts and seeing what Chat GBT kicks out, you can come very quickly to a baseline of what should be in a strategic plan. Okay. Coming up with brainstorming ideas. What we're not doing, and I don't think we're ever going to do, is trusting AI to write news releases or op-eds or those types of things. Yeah. A, because we go out of business, and B, you're only as good as what you put into it. Totally. But what we are finding, and the next step of what we're doing, we actually charged the team internally to do a 3-month research project and come back to us with our point of view, as well as what we should do and how we should educate everybody here. Because what I don't want to have happen, what happens in a lot of cases, is everybody sort of goes off and does their own thing, and we have a hodgepodge of all of that.
Yeah.
The other thing we're finding is some of our clients do not like it at all and really do not want to be associated with it. So having a point of view as an agency that we can communicate to our clients that makes them comfortable if we decide to use it is really critical for how we approach this moving forward.
Yeah. Are the concerns sort of based on sort of liability, or just relying on something and not what?
I think it's that. I also think is some people are just draw the line on that level of technology, and whether it's a lack of trust or whether it's a lack of faith or whether it's I'm just not going to do that. Yeah. Some people have sort of visceral reactions to it until either they decide, kicking and screaming, they go into it, or maybe they never adopt it. And we have to be very open and transparent, especially with the business that we're in, on what our point of view is, what the legalities are, how we use it, and how we not use it. But again, what we found is, we can only trust it up to a certain point.
Yeah.
But what it does help us is, come up with new ideas, come up with different points of view. And again, it's only as good as what you put into it, at least at this point.
As the person on the receiving end of it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, that's great. No, I think that's a smart and healthy approach to, exploring the value of AI and, certainly, changing the nature of sort of the agency world. And, but it seems like you're going about it the right way.
The other part of it, Mark, too, is we've seen when people declare that things are like life changing and will, be those tipping points and all that kind of stuff. And our experience is they are maybe up to a certain point and then they sort of even out. And we saw that with social media at the beginning. It was like, how many platforms can you be on? And how many of them, there was a new platform every day. Now, at the end of the day, there are like 5 of them.
Yeah.
So things sort of even out over time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. So I'm curious, as you think about sort of ideal agency client relationships, how would you characterize that? What does an ideal agency client relationship look like?
We like to be very open and transparent. We hope our clients are the same way. We pride ourselves on being collaborative. We don't know whether we have all the answers on day one. We also want to make sure the clients understand that, we're going to fix a lot of problems and we're not going to fix all your problems, right? So we have those kind of conversations early in the game. And where we think can be successful, we tell them. Where we think we can't be successful and maybe we need to bring in another partner or maybe we need to level set with them, we do that early so there's no misunderstanding on day one. Okay. But our best relationships are the ones that are collaborative, where the clients see us as an extension of their marketing firm or their PR group or communications group. Yeah. And we're going to be brutally honest so that there's no misunderstanding later on. Sometimes, to a fault, but I think, over the years, we found that that's the best way to operate. And again, because we have clients that have come back to us and said they appreciate that and also have been with us for 10, 15 years, sort of the proof is in the pudding there.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have a lot of clients that have in-house operations where you're having to sort of operate as the extension of, or?
Yeah, it's really a mix.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, we are extensions of communications departments.
Right. Okay.
For some clients, they might have a marketing person and that's it, and we become the communications department. Right. In some cases, we recommend how they can build out a communications and marketing department. So it really depends on the size. We work for a bunch of nonprofits. They don't have as much money or manpower as other folks do. We also work for Fortune 500s. They have a broader, group, but with the economy, they're really careful about how many full-time equivalents they can hire. So they need us to be the extra arms and legs and strategic partner in that situation. So it really depends on the client.
That's great. Okay. And then my last question for you today is, I'm curious, how do firms like Hodges best manage their way forward to be of greatest value to their clients as the marketing world, evolves, changes quickly before our eyes?
So we just went through our annual review process with all of our Hodgers. And one of the things that we make sure we cover in that conversation is training and what people want to do moving forward. And we're all about, trying to make sure that everybody here is as educated as possible in the areas that they want to strive in, whether it's earned, or paid, or a combination of all of those. So we're constantly self-educating because that's the only way we feel that we can provide value to clients. If we're not ahead of our clients, if we're not able to answer the questions about everything from how the the traditional media world is changing
Mhm.
to how Google is changing on a daily basis, and it
Right,
seems to be changing on a daily basis, then we're not providing value to clients. So
right.
it's trying to stay ahead as much as we can so we can be that trusted partner. And a lot of that has to do with changing and the relationships that we create, whether it's with the media or it's with other agency partners, or how we attack a paid or social platform
Mhm.
are the best ways for us to provide that value and try to stay ahead of the curve. And it's a curve that's always changing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's great. Yeah, on the agency search side of our business, we don't do that many searches a year, but when marketers do come to us looking for firms, it's usually one of the reasons is they feel like, they're the one bringing all the ideas to the agency and feel like they're not keeping them ahead of the curve. And so it's really nice to hear that you guys recognize the importance of that and the value of that and are doing everything you can to, keep Hodges, a step ahead at least.
Part of the evolution over the years has been getting out of, stretching a little bit, getting out of our comfort zone. If you had told me, 5 years ago that we would be dabbling in a world of paid media, I would have told you were crazy. But
Yeah,
a lot of that has been self-educated and, a little bit of trial and error, but we've been, pretty successful, and probably once a year, and there's an opportunity that's crossed our desks this week, we take a look at a proposal or the opportunity to go after something, and we say, is this a stretch opportunity for us?
okay,
Can we do this? Do we have enough capabilities based on what we've done in the past and all of our smart people, in house, that can we go for this realistically?
right.
And we've been successful in some of those situations, and those have been the opportunities that have allowed us to grow as an agency. If you
Right.
don't take those chances every once in a while, you're just going to stay in the same
Yeah.
place or even regress.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Well, John, this has been great. I really appreciate all the perspective and insight. It really sounds like you guys are doing some great things at Hodges. Again, appreciate the time. So, Jon Newman, co-founder of Hodges, full service PR agency based out of Richmond, Virginia. Thanks so much for your time today, and you have a good rest of your week.
Thanks, Mark. We really appreciate the partnership.
All right. Thank you. Take care.